Hello, everybody. This is Brandon from Galaxydoc Market. Today is November 13th, 2024. It's about 2:13 p.m. as I bring you this video. And the title is Rising Bond Yields Warning. And we'll get into that. And here's the disclaimer. Pause it, read it. If you agree, please move forward. And be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to this video. So let's get moving. We're also on x.com/Galaxydoc Market. There's been a lot of commentary since the election. And those of you who have, voted for Trump, I guess you guys, everybody's celebrating that election. And I think it's a good thing that's happened. And praise be to God going forward, right? All right. So now, having said that, as the markets rightfully is celebrating the landslide victory of Donald Trump, I don't think it was even close, minus any of the shenanigans that might be going on in the election results. The elites are dumping into this FOMO-driven retail market right now. And we'll go over that and show you the evidence of that happening and why we think that there needs to be caution. And I've been saying this for a while. I thought the rally wouldn't last as long as it has. However, we did hit the top end of the trend line. We'll go over all of those and what I think is happening going forward. Okay? So let's go on with this Twitter that we got from x.com. And that is that Jeff Bezos is dumping another $1.25 billion worth of Amazon as Amazon is spiking higher into this euphoric Trump rally. And so he sold roughly $12.5 billion this year. And like I said, his Amazon selling previously in 2020, right into that, the crash that occurred at the beginning of the year, the pandemic crash. He's been doing the same thing. Look who else is also hoarding cash, and that is Buffett. And we are at all-time highs. And he typically is very good at timing those markets as the markets basically starts to top. He'll get into cash, lots of cash. And especially in 2020, he was at record cash levels as we got in. And so that is something that we need to pay attention to. The Sage of Omaha is raising record levels of cash, and they're not the only ones. We've got, Jensen Huang from nvda dumping shares left and right, same as Jamie Dimon, who has never really dumped any of his shares, and that is happening as we move forward. So, but meanwhile, as our U.S. markets are basically melting up higher, European markets are on its way down, and we just had a pretty big, decent-sized collapse that's happening. And while we're euphoric, what people are not realizing is that there is significant dislocation within the banks itself as it's being propped up with printed money from the Fed. And we'll go over the commentary that Jerome Powell made and what this means with Trump presidency. Everybody's pricing in this easy money and things like that, that somehow Trump is going to fix all this. But the fundamental problems that resides right now with the Biden administration exists with the Trump administration. Okay, unless fundamental changes and some pain is taken, this is only going to get worse, and we'll see. Okay, we'll see if Trump is the chosen one that a lot of people say he is. So we'll find out. Okay, so the fundamental thesis of my video today is, and I've been harping on this for a long time, at the time of this x.com tweet was taken, the 10-year Treasury note was at 4.393%. On the TNX, it's 43.9. Currently, it's above 44.5. And rising yield means that somebody out there is dumping bonds left and right. And bond market may not agree with the stock market right now, but bond market is generally proven right in 98% of the time. Bond market is the smarter traders, and the credit market is calling bullshit on this market rally currently. So what I said was, ask yourself this: if this action is normal, why the cutting rates of 25 basis point will improve the exodus out of the bonds, right? I mean, the Fed just cut 25 basis points last week, and yet the yield keeps rising, okay? The whole idea is to bring this yield curve down so that the cost of borrowing decreases. And that's not happening because we need to pay the piper in terms of all of the market that is flooded with printed money with no assets to back it. We talked about the BRICS meeting, how they're trying to introduce the BRICS currency backed by gold. And while that's been quiet, I would not be surprised if that rears its ugly head and start to compete with the decline in U.S. dollar dominance for global trade. All right, so the other thing that's really important to note is that the current rally is not what it seems. You have to pay attention to this. Euro swap cash basis just went negative for the very first time since what, 1999, right before the dot-com crash started happening. Remember, by the time year 2001 rolled around, that was more of the terrorist attack that led. But the top came in 1999, and we are really right there. And that is another warning sign that we're talking about. So we're going to talk about this guy, Jerome Powell, what he said about the Fed. And when he was asked a very interesting question about the fact that if President Trump asked him to resign, would he? And his answer was a very emphatic no. And then he was asked another question about whether he would step down if he became under pressure of President Trump. And he said that's against the law. What that says is the following. There is nothing federal about the Federal Reserve Bank. It's a private bank that somehow obtained the ability to control the interest rates and money supply. And that was usually the job of the Treasury. But because, we don't have, the world is run by basically bankers. And the banks have basically hijacked the government's ability to control monetary rates. Okay, so Federal Reserve Bank is not a government institution. Okay, it's not constitutional, and there's a lot of calls to abolish the Fed, and we'll see what happens. But I think Powell especially corroborated the fact that there is no connection between Federal Reserve Bank and they are just a private bank. Okay, just keep that in mind, and that should explain why I think really the Fed's real intent isn't to bring the inflation down. Their intent is to hyperinflate out of the debt that they have and redistribute wealth. Okay, and so the other thing we need to look at is that there's a panic FX trading desk all over Asia at the moment. Why? Because of the currency fix that is occurring in Shanghai and China, okay, in relation to the strengthening dollar as a result of President Trump's election, okay? Now, one thing I want to talk about now that we've talked about that is the fact that we have finally hit the upper trend of this long-term uptrend line. Now, if it goes a little bit over, can it do that? But generally, once we hit that, we start a secular bear market and market crashes. And so I've been waiting for this. I didn't think we were going to hit it because I got impatient. But then here we are after Trump's election. Watch the market action. Do we stall out here? And is there some surprises like black swans that I talked about in the past few videos? Is that going to happen? Okay. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay. So that's where we are. Monthly uptrend line has been tagged. Okay. So we're looking at the 10-year Treasury. And since we had the FOMC 25 basis cut, it's basically gapped higher and we're moving higher. We're above 44.5 at the moment as I make this video. Okay, so basically bond market is calling BS on Trump euphoria that's going on. It's nothing more than, I believe, a basically the retail being again becoming the exit liquidity. Right now, people are buying up the stock market hand over fist because they think we're going to the moon, and that's exactly where the top comes. Okay. So the CPI numbers came out. Core inflation number year over year is 2.6 and core inflation jumped to 3.3. Guys, just because the expectations were met, it didn't go higher or lower, it's not bullish for the market. The inflation still remains. And the fact is the Bureau of, I call it Lies and Statistics, BLS, really doesn't take into account of all the statistics that matter to average consumer, like shelter, transportation, and food. But they don't think that's important. Okay, inflation is live and well. Hyperinflation is here, no matter how much they try to put the lipstick on a pig. Okay, this is from the previous video, and they're talking about putting in this precious metals exchange. And if you should notice, since Trump got elected, they have been slamming with naked shorts on the COMEX and LBMA down back into the support level. And I believe we are at that support level, and hence why I'm making this video. And we'll talk about the correlation between that. And, I've always maintained that Bitcoin is, while it moves with NASDAQ, it's not a correlated move. Bitcoin is basically a risk-off asset designed to preserve wealth. It's a digital gold, okay? And in fact, I always maintain that Bitcoin is where gold would be if they do not rig the COMEX and LBMA. And that's a known, not a secret now, right? There's over 1,000 to 1 silver slam for every 1,000 ounces that's shorted, naked, for every 1 ounce that's available, okay? And that's just not feasible, but they let this continue to happen. But realistically, if you look at it, the demand and the possibility of a black swan event that's out there far outweighs that, because Bitcoin is telling you that there's flight to safety going on, despite the fact that it's moving with the market. And Bitcoin is partially moving because Trump is going to try to create, he's going to create a Bitcoin reserve asset fund for the government, sovereign fund. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is SMCI, and this is an active trade that's been going on. At the last week, we were at 26.95. I said SMCI is a zero. They just missed their 10Q deadline, and they don't foresee posting that, so they're going to get delisted. And what that means is that right now we're hovering around 20.83. We were at 26.85. This is a gift that keeps on giving. Okay, this is a zero. All right, this is the flashpoint, and this is significantly related to NVIDIA. Even though NVIDIA is going higher, it is stalling out at near the 146, 145 level. NVIDIA's accounting practices are exactly similar to SMCI. That's what we maintain. And then there's a lot of good research that's being done at Coastal Journal. Shout out to them. Go follow them if you want to follow them. Okay, now let's talk about Bitcoin. Okay, I think Bitcoin's going to hit 100,000. Okay, but remember, I'm bullish on gold and silver. Okay, we have positions and precious metals, and Bitcoin is the first out of the gate. Okay, this type of move, it's just getting started. Okay, so if you look at the monthly chart, we just broke out of long consolidation, a cup and a handle, and we're breaking out. Maybe we pull back, but it's going higher. Okay, Bitcoin, it's not done. As long as we keep printing money, that's what's going to happen. And at a certain point, the naked shorts that's being done at COMEX and LBMA, that's criminal, right? You can't be shorting gold and silver that doesn't exist. And I think there's about 1,000 to 1 ratio in silver now, and I think gold is almost 500 to 1 at this point. Okay, I don't know what's going to trigger that, but Bitcoin action is warning you something is coming. Okay, it's just getting started. So let's look at the gold and silver right now. Okay, so right into the election, we basically had a all-time high at 28.01, and then we pulled back. And Bitcoin, if you look, and did the same thing. It went to all-time high, and then it did a pullback. Now, gold is a little bit sharper, coming right back to this, and I believe we're going to chop around here and then start moving above the 3,000 level, and maybe starting this week. Okay, same thing with silver, right? Behaving just exactly the same as Bitcoin has. Okay, just moving and then pulling back a little sharper because they like to slam this stuff, but it's going to move higher. Because why? Because the bond market, the yield curve is telling you that there is probably a liquidity crisis, or worse, big major, maybe sovereign bank that is insolvent at the moment. But right now, everybody's punch drunk because Trump is coming to save the day. All the glory should be going to God, not just to Trump, folks. Okay, this was an improbable win, and nothing short of a miracle. Okay, let's give credit where credit is due. However, remember, gold and silver are God's money, all right? And this is why they are allowed, I believe, JP Morgan Chase, LBMA, COMEX, why these naked shorts are allowed to happen. But, the thing is, they have to take delivery of these things. And, I'm just trying to show you that before this breakout, by the way, Bitcoin is just getting started. I think we're going to hit about 100,000 to 105 and then pull back down to about 80,000, 78K. In the next few weeks. And then for those of you that think you missed the Bitcoin rally, well, that's where it is. I think a better instrument is XRP, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Okay, it's cheap, and there I said it. But I believe that within maybe by the end of this week and starting into next week, we're going to start seeing gold and silver starting to materialize. Remember, BRICS coalition, okay, they're not afraid of America. Okay, folks. All right. They're just tired of basically being bullied around with sanctions that the Biden administration has put on them. But they're going to be forming their own basket of currency backed by gold and silver. Bar none. That's what's going on right now, folks. Use this opportunity as a pullback. Okay. I think we're going to get a similar type of a hyperbolic move that's coming within the next few days at the moment. So, Bitcoin will be the first one out of the gates, okay? Bitcoin is digital gold, folks. Bitcoin is, while it's moving with NASDAQ, it's not correlated with the stock market, okay? So when Bitcoin is done, that money and the profits will go into gold and then to silver, okay? Remember, both Bitcoin and gold has hit all-time high. Silver has not yet, okay? Silver's all-time high, I think, is around like $50, okay? All right, depending on where you look at it. So I believe silver is going to start exploding higher shortly. Okay, and I know it doesn't seem like it, but I believe it, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. Now let's look at TNX. TNX looks like it's ready to be done with the consolidation. We got this little nice cup. Okay, and then we got a nice little hammer formation. Everything looks bullish. I think we are going to move higher. Okay, so, okay, and this is an ominous sign for the markets because it means that people, whoever that may be, is it China, Russia, do they even own our bonds anymore? Whoever it is, they are dumping bond like it's going out of style, right? Bond and bond yields are inversely correlated. When you dump bonds, yield goes higher, but that's a big problem for the banks that are holding these because these are not marked to market. They're holding insolvent assets right now, every single one of these banks, okay? Before the Trump rally, I said, let's watch the regional banks because I think they are the most levered to commercial real estate and also holding these worthless treasuries. And I believe, despite the fact that the Fed is cutting rates, I believe because of the amount of money that's been printed and because a lot of the countries are now denominating trade not in U.S. reserve currency, we're losing that status, folks. Okay, and so they're dumping our bonds and buying into their own currencies. Okay, this is basically what's happening. So TNX today, we showed this before. This is FOMC, and basically when they opened up, we had a bank holiday right here, and we gapped higher. We're moving higher, 44.59. This is danger territory. Okay, say what you will about it. If you think the market's gonna go to the moon, then guess what? Okay, I'm gonna go broke. And I'm going to just basically quit trading altogether, I believe. But this bond market does not lie. Bond market is telling you there's dislocation in the markets at 44.59. That's unsustainable, even with intervention. Okay, Fed can cut all they want, but they've created a two-headed monster at this point because the amount of asset that was created, which is U.S. Federal Reserve note, created out of thin air, is going to create these type of dislocations. Okay, and this is what the retail traders are not realizing is that you are being used as an exit liquidity. The Trump euphoria is real. Okay, I voted for Trump. Okay, how could you not? Okay, and those of you that didn't vote, I'm sorry to offend you, or if you're offended, maybe you did vote and you're just saying something else. But basically, this is a good thing for our world. However, this financial system is going to be taking a lot of work to fix itself. And namely, I think we need to be looking at the Federal Reserve Bank and then audit the Fed. And I know that's been going around, but the issue is that they cannot have the powers that they have when they're not a government entity, and Powell proved that. Okay. So let's look at SPY really quickly, okay? I mean, can't be any more bullish than that. Here's the Trump got elected, and then bam, it just gapped higher and then hasn't moved since. We are running into that 600 level, and I always thought that that's probably the level at which it's going to stall out. We'll see. But it looks like it's getting some divergences, and maybe in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, we're going to have that. But it's going to take a black swan event of some sort. I don't know what that is. Okay, is it a bank failure? Is it war? Is it another? I don't know. Are the Democrats going to pull something? I believe that there's some shenanigans going on in the states, like in Wisconsin and Arizona. I can't believe how, everybody else that was Republican, that was for the Congress and made it, except for Kerry Lake. Okay, but I don't want to get into that right now. But there is something going on, and I don't think the Democrats and the deep state will go quietly, I believe. All right. So am I even allowed to say that? It doesn't matter. I have a small channel. It doesn't really matter. I don't think a lot of people are listening to me anyways. But here's the weekly. And if we finish here, starting next week, I believe we're going to start moving down. We have divergences forming galore. Volume is coming down. If it was euphoric, we should be seeing institutional quality accumulation, which we're just not. We're just not seeing it. NVIDIA, okay? I said, hey, look, this level is very good to basically accumulate. Guys, SMCI, same shit is going on with this stock, okay? Let's see if it stalls out here and accumulate short positions. That's what we're doing at the moment, okay? And then let's talk about Amazon, okay? Bezos is dumping while the stock is going higher and higher at lower and lower volumes, okay? We have a declining volume. We have just flattening out of the relative strength. Okay, how much further can this go? How much further can Trump euphoria lead to this? It's not like Trump being elected is going to magically, change the economic trajectory. And in fact, from what I'm hearing is that Trump is going to be asking for rates to be cut to zero, but that rate cutting is not helping with the bond markets. Bond markets, no. Real supply and demand is happening there. So keep an eye on TNX. It's warning you. And then also, in the next few days, maybe early next week, I believe we're going to start seeing these precious metals start breaking out. I like to see silver break above 35. Once it gets above 35, I think we're headed to the races to all-time high and then beyond. And it's going to happen pretty quickly, okay? And so that's my thesis for this. And so let the Trump euphoria take effect. Celebrate if you voted for him, okay? I think it is a good thing for the world. Bond yields are warning us, though. We're buying gold and silver, still doing it. But we got slammed. We're hurting a little bit from that slam. But then, at the same time, this is why you buy time or you buy physical metals, right? Trump election euphoria. Insiders are selling like there's no tomorrow. The only people FOMOing in are retail. Did we get sell the news if Trump wins? No, but we did get the pop. I thought we would get a pop and then immediate sell the news within a few days. It's been going on for a few weeks. I think we hit the upper trend line. I think this is an objective short entry area. Okay, I'm still bullish on gold and silver. Okay, I'm still bullish on VIX. And we're looking for additional short entries on the SPY and ES. And I believe hitting that 600, 605 level on the SPY is where it's at. TNX of 44.5. 5.7, either the bond market is wrong or the equity market is wrong, and bond market is rarely wrong. There are credit dislocations that are forming. And then don't forget about gold and silver naked short, that slam that occurs every morning at COMEX. I think there was a good tweet. If you go back on my GalaxyDocX.com, you'll see somebody's been tracking that, and it's just like they're right in your face. They don't give a crap at this point. Okay, so be careful out there. Good luck. Okay, and I think it's a good thing that Trump won. Okay, I can't imagine having that cackling Kamala for the next 4 years. Who knows what she would have turned the world into. But if you liked what I talked about, follow me at Galaxydoc Market X.com. Subscribe and like us. And then if you want to learn about working with me, email me at coachbrandon@protonmail.com. All right. Have a good day.